Now, of course, Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd, is going to prison. He was convicted in state court, but remember, there were still federal charges, not just in the George Floyd case. What happened was there was another case that was being investigated, all right? Now, he has now pled not guilty to federal charges against him involving a 14-year-old boy. According to prosecutors, Chauvin held the boy by the throat and hit him in the head with a flashlight in 2017. Those charges are separate, again, from the case involving George Floyd in 2020. Now, earlier this week, Chauvin and the 3 other officers pled not guilty to the federal charges in the Floyd case. Chauvin is currently serving a 22-and-a-half-year prison sentence for the state conviction. Joining me now is attorney Christopher Brown, who specializes in excessive force cases. First and foremost, you're actually based where, Attorney Brown? I don't hear you.
Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. area.
All right, so here's the thing that's interesting. This case is from 2017. This is 2021. Floyd's killed in 2020. What the hell took so long to hit him with federal charges in that case? Maybe if he was dealt with between 2017 and 2020, he would not have been in a position to kill George Floyd.
And George Floyd might still be with us. But it's people like you, and it's the attention that the public brought on the atrocious behavior of Derek Chauvin in the killing of George Floyd that's going to push the Justice Department to try to do the right thing here. I mean, you hate to think they're playing catch up. They should be leading the charge, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. And
so these federal charges, so explain to folks again, obviously state charges are totally different. The federal civil rights charges, that's also a different animal as well, because when Attorney General Eric Holder was there, he complained about the high threshold they had to meet the federal standard.
It is high. Now, the first question I always get is, what about double jeopardy? That's not quite what's going on here, right? They're bringing these indictments under 18 U.S.C. 242, which is a civil rights statute. It's for criminal behavior, and it has a high bar. It has to show that they deliberately did what they did. They essentially knew what they were doing, and they did it anyway. Now, that's going to be tough for the other 3 officers. Kung, I'm sure I'm pronouncing his name wrong, and Tao. Those 2 are being indicted on account for failing to give aid, and all 4 of them are being indicted for failing to give medical aid. Kung and Tao are being indicted for failing to intervene and stop Chauvin, and Chauvin has a count against him for violating Floyd's civil rights by keeping his knee on his neck and killing him.
So. And when we say a violation of federal civil rights the federal civil rights violations, also explain that. What does that actually mean?
That means that there's a civil rights statute that's in place to protect people's constitutional rights from people doing what anybody else can do to you in the public, but there's a special protection if someone does it under color of state law. And these officers, the allegation in the indictment is that under a color of state law and the authority they possessed, they engaged in behavior that violated the civil rights of George Floyd. That is, his right to be free from unreasonable seizure, to be free from excessive force, to have the other officers provide aid if someone is violating his rights, and to have them seek medical attention appropriately and timely in order to try to save his life.
And also, when you say civil rights, meaning, because that was the case I remember with the Chauvin deal, is that you have the right to walk down the street. You have the right to drive. You have the right. So when they say your federally protected civil rights, you have, that includes your right to just be free, and that restricts your movement. Is that what factors in when they say a federal civil rights charge?
Look, when we're talking about all you hear in the news about freedoms, whichever side of the aisle you're hearing from, this is what we're talking about. These civil rights statutes protect our freedoms, not to be, unfairly investigated, not to have our property or our person taken or abused, not to be the subject of excessive force, not to be held against our will without probable cause, etc. So when you hear all this talk about our freedoms, this is in fact what we're talking about.
All right. Well, look, we certainly we watching this, and so he's already in prison on the state charges. Now you have this particular case, and still the federal case as well. And so Derek Chauvin might be spending the rest of his life in prison, especially if those judges don't, if he's convicted, they don't serve concurrently.
Well, they will be served consecutively, right? But I got to tell you, it's great to see some more attention placed on the significance of this situation, because there's been a little dearth of news lately with respect to excessive force against people of color. And even though he'll serve consecutively, he can get 10 years associated with death. He could get life or even the death penalty. That is very unlikely. And while, I think Chauvin was 45 when he was sentenced, he's got 22 years on the state case. He could be out in 15. If he served 10 or 20 on this, he's going to be 65 years old. Is that good enough? If you ask me, no. But it's the way it is. But it's at least nice to have some more attention on this point so we can continue to make efforts toward improving the situation out here for people of color and dealing with officers and the use of excessive force.
All right, Attorney Christopher Brown, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Roland.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, CEEK.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. It's a virtual reality company where you can actually go there, look at their virtual reality content. A couple of devices they actually have for sale that you might be interested in. First off, their VR headset allows for you to slide your phone right in and experience that virtual reality content on their site or watch a 360-degree video. Also, there are 360-degree headphones, tremendous bass, you can use it for gaming, Bluetooth, phone calls, you name it. Folks, you can get these two at CEEK.com using this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. You buy one or the other, or even both, a portion of the proceeds come back to us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we want you to check out CEEK.com and give it a try.